In 2291, in an attempt to control violence among deep space miners, the new Earth government legalized no-holds-barred fighting. Leandri Mining Corporation, working with the MEG, established a series of leagues and bloody public exhibitions. The fight's popularity grew with their brutality. Soon, Leandri discovered that the public matches were their most profitable enterprise. The professional league was formed. A cabal of the most violent and skilled warriors in known space, selected to fight in a grand tournament. Now it is 2341. 50 years have passed since the founding of Deathmatch. Profits from the tournament number in the hundreds of billions. You have been selected to fight in the professional league by the Leandri Rules Board. Your strength and brutality are legendary. The time has come to prove you are the best. To crush your enemies. To win the tournament.
Good evening, everyone. We are once again here for a UT4 Elim Fall League matchup hosted by UTPugs between Pronoun and Upgrade, and we will go right, wasting no time, right into the action with Fantasy on Upgrade, pushing towards Hydro, shooting him. Need to get on first player. Whoops, my bad. And Fantasy landing some shots. You know, he's good. A lot is riding on him. He is one of the favorite MVP candidates so far in this season. He has been doing phenomenally. Match in and out of match, coming across turns, unable to land any damage, and structured. Not really sure who would have picked this. I know Fantasy in the past has hated it, but I believe he has kind of come around on it. I do think Turns would definitely pick this, trying to use Hydro's aggressiveness. B-Banks tends to also be aggressive, and Turns himself no stranger to using a flat cannon, and we will go on board with Turns for round 2. However, B-Banks is actually the one currently leading the PPR battle, although it has only been one round, so not exactly a long period of time. And Turns landing the early kill on Headcase. And this is kind of what we're, you know, I feel like Turns' team is actually fairly well balanced. Fantasy is a lot rides on him and Ralph to put out a lot, and this is going to be a harder match, or a harder map for Ralph, I should say. Just high ping and all, and structured, being a more close quarters matchup. Sorry, I apologize. Mouse was on the screen, and Changa already in a tough situation. The moment I realized that, he goes down. Apparently, the kiss of death is me realizing you are in the hot man dark horse situation too late. So we'll go to him for this round, see how he's, you know, getting into the match, easing into it, as they say. And so far, just playing the hyperreal position, the corner of crates, shooting up top. He'll now move to back hall if he's truly cloning Hyper here. And he doesn't, but he does kill Banks. Nice flak. A beautiful combo onto Hydro. Takes him down. Now Changa left alive. Again, unable to... Had a great round, just unable to secure it. And come on, we all know everyone. We want to see everyone's favorite Rockstar infused Unreal Tournament player, Fantasy. Great mini jump up there, gets the full flak onto Hydro. Then Hydro just says, "I'll raise you a full rocket to your full flak." However, Fantasy says, "I don't care. I'm getting the kill anyways." Headcase pretty much dead, but Fantasy very hurt. Gets Turns. Ma, nice pixel snipe. Ma now stuck alone, last alive, 3v1, but she is stacked, takes down one, makes it a 2v1. Needs to get some damage out, does land Changa, misses the health pack. Oh, whoopsie daisies. Why is the mouse back? Makes it through, you know. Ralph able to clean it up the round, and we're going to go on board with Ralph. See at the start of this round, he is pretty much the only $700 player in the pool, which is kind of wild when you think about it. It was kind of a drafting sore spot for, I think, a lot of captains, particularly like myself included. I feel like made it really hard for my team to have a good balance curve position-wise, just because there were not a lot of quote-unquote $700 players available. Salary-wise, made it very difficult to draft. I feel. And Fantasy getting kind of the ideal, or close to an ideal player curve for one of the $900 players, getting, you know, him, a $700 player, a $500 player, and a $300 player, you know, pretty well balanced. But now we have Turns and Ralph in the 1v1, and Turns is very good at just being patient. I think you heard him, spins out, hits the shot, gets the dark horse. I was too busy talking and gabbing. I missed the dark horse, you know. Yeah, U-Shots is 790, but that's basically 800. I mean, close. You know, not... I mean, but it was basically him and Koralf, and then Zyos is a sub. Like, that's not exactly a great pool of $700 players. I mean, you'd expect, you know, 4 or 5 at least. You'd make it a little bit more fill-outable. But anyways, Changa, that was caught on stream. I feel bad for any clips that come out of that, but that is your own damn fault. And now Ralph in the 2v1, and he's gonna move towards an open area. I do like this for him, just because of his high ping. It's gonna be much easier for him to try and aim at players rather than, I feel like a lot of lower ping players in dark horse situations on structured love to play around this low lift area and break line of sight and change the angles really quickly. Headshots, turns, and now is in a 1v1 with Ma. Ma is stacked, but Koralf will survive a snipe. Opportunity to get some damage out if he can land 1 or 2 of them onto her before she lands one on him. Very easy to win this, but he is not hitting right now after that beautiful headshot onto turns. And now they're just staring off, fighting. He believes he's lower, knows he kind of needs to make something happen. The big combo needs one more shot. Both of them die to almost anything, and Ma is able to use the health advantage, take out Koralf there, and, you know, 5-1 in favor of Pronoun. We're going to go back on board with Fantasy. He is not having a bad game for PPR, but turns is just 4.4. A little bit stronger for his team. B-Banks, 2.9. Ma kind of being a difference maker right now. And 2.4, whereas Changa and Headcase are only 2.2 and 1 point something. Ma's definitely having a pretty big impact. We gotta find B-Banks here. He's just kind of cleaning up Ralph in the 1v3, but he's not long for this world. They got him. They got the link on the high ping player. They are chasing him down and exterminating him. Unfortunate. But it is now 6-1. And we're going to go back on board with turns. He is carrying his team, must be doing something right. B-Banks 3.1 playing very well this match. Definitely showing that he has the chops to really, you know, help his team out. And just needs to be put in the right situation, right opportunities, right state of mind. Talking about business licenses before this match started definitely helped him clear his head. Seems to be that gets the juices flowing for B-Banks. In a 2v2 now, low health Fantasy, low health turns against a Ma that's a little bit more than 1 snipe, and a Fantasy that is next to dead as well as turns, and snipes the one person who can survive. Looks again, misses the shot. Wonder where turns is. Ma the only one pushing right now. His Turns just being patient. Turns is being patient. Misses the shot, and Fantasy misses too, but Ma swings the corner, does not miss, takes down Fantasy. We are 7-1. This is quite disappointing. They're really putting a number on to Upgrade right now. Upgrade is certainly downgrading their match standings if they're unable to turn this around. But Ralph able to kind of pick up some kills here, get some damage onto the board. 3-2 player advantage for Upgrade. This is the sort of thing they need. Potentially could get a comeback here. Structured can be very swingy. Teams can go on very big runs here. And, well, they're able to, you know, get around and maybe get some confidence going, and that's all you can really ask for. Elim just seems to be a lot of times a lot of feel. It's really hard to just kind of, I guess, think your way out of slumps sometimes. Especially depending on the player. It does feel like sometimes you're just not hitting, and that can be really, really hard to break. I guess it's more similar to hitting in baseball, where part of it's just a mental game. You gotta have confidence that everything's gonna land. So it does definitely feels like it's a little bit easier to get into it when you can get some easy targets, get some shots in early, and really feel that aim and start to build that confidence. And Upgrade looks like they might be doing that here, getting a few rounds back. Still gonna be Baybank's typing the net stats into chat. He wants to know, where is the lag? He's definitely seeing some. I don't think anyone else is. But Fantasy engaging Ma. Nifty little combo angle there. I'm gonna have to take that one down for some other time, although I feel like that was always unlikely to make contact. Absolutely demolishes B-Banks. Fantasy playing like his map life depends on it. He does not want to lose. He never wants to lose, but he really doesn't this time. And he is just chasing down Ma. Surprised he doesn't get the link gun out. That just does not seem to be a Fantasy staple. Yeah. I hear you, Spec Fantasy or Turns. Both of them are playing very well right now and deserve the spectate. Just got used to hitting one for Crytek or Later Aid after the last match. Absent-minded. I do wish you could drag players around to different numbers so you could get to them, like, specifically all the time. Like, you could put the 1s on the 1, the 2 on the 2, the 3 on the 3, the 4 on the 4, whatnot. It just makes it easy and, could remember it. But sadly, this game is unfinished and very unoptimized. Chonga now in the... Well, he dies the moment I am about to say it. Once again, I feel like if I'm about to swap to you in a 3v1 situation where you've gotten a kill already, you're not long for this world. And we're going to go to Turns this round, see how he's, progressing. It didn't seem like he got too much done last round, but Fantasy definitely was. But Turns, 3 HP. He is not going to last much longer. Gets a snipe out. That is just bonus damage at any point where you're down to your last little bit of life and you get some damage out. That is a plus. B-Banks now in the 3v1. They know where he is. Fantasy and Ralph and everybody's on him. He is not alive. 8-5. Upgrade doing their best to bring this back. Furious comeback. And we're just gonna swap between Fantasy and Turns the rest of the way, and we will see how they're going. And Fantasy just kind of aimless right now. Gonna go back call. Underrated spot on this map. Even though it is difficult, if you play it well, you can get out a lot of damage and rotate around the map very quickly. It's kind of like a slightly worse bottom lift. Now we are left with very few people. B-Banks annihilating Ralph. Beautiful combo into primary. Chonga now in the 3v1. Upgrade. Downgrading to dead status very quickly that round. And now Pronoun on the cusp of winning map 1. They just need one round. Oh, can Fantasy stave it off? Playing low sewers, not exactly where you want to be. Good for last alive situations, but you can get chased down. Right now, well, they end up backing off and not chasing him. Might be good. He was looking to hit a big combo, but now it is Ralph. Last alive, map life on the line, and Turns. Don't do it to him. Turns leading the way for Pronoun. 3.9k damage, 3.7 PPR. Fantasy, 4.2k damage, 3.7 PPR. He did his best. Headcase, 1.2, just not strong enough. And Chonga, 2.1, getting outplayed by every single player on Pronoun. Ma showing that at $300 some, or I think 390, that value is very good. 2.7 PPR in a league match is no slouch of a performance. Absolutely kind of, I think, pivotal into why that was as bad as it was. Okay, definitely, Structured was definitely Pronoun's pick. There's not a chance in hell, I believe, that they pick Quest, but I know that Upgrade would pick Quest. And come on. There we go. And that was map 1 going very decisively in the way of Pronoun. We will see if Upgrade can tie it back up in map 2. Give me 1 second. I will update the match score. Always the little things you gotta remember to do. Pronoun up 1-0. Or as the match score says, 0-1, and just by the nature of where they got placed at the start of the game. How's everyone doing on this wonderful Friday night while watching UT Fall Elim League? We have readies and we have funs. We are getting into map 2. And we're going to go right on board with Fantasy at round 1. The moment we can see where he is in the order.
3, 2, 1.
Got to go through the long as hell Elim load screen. But we eventually get there. And Fantasy loading in, the spawning top blue in between Chopper. Interesting that he goes directly to low here. Usually you don't see a lot of people intentionally grab low ground, but I do feel like it's a little bit more viable on Quest. It's very easy to move around. Nice flak ball into B-Banks. He's going to be typing net stats furiously, trying to find out where his ping and packet loss came from. And he's going to be disappointed when it reads all normal. Fantasy moving towards a couple of Pronouns that are at blue. Fantasy leaving everybody, letting his teammates fight, but runs directly into turns, misses the point-blank flak. Unusual from Fantasy to miss those. That is not something he does very often. But we will go on board now with turns. Start of round 2. Looking to give his team a big lead once again. Well, I mean, you can't really call 2-0 a big lead, but, you know, it's the start of what could become a big lead. That's for sure. And their team is already up 4 players to 3 in round 2. And just gets right behind Ralph and just shoots him in the back, does a quick 100 damage to him. 115, technically. My math right? Yeah. So, you know. And Fantasy now in the 2v1. Zio's stacked, but so is Turns. And somebody saw him and already got camper damage, but Turns definitely nuked him a bit. B-Banks jumps right into him. 2-0 in favor of Pronoun right off the bat. Turns currently 6.5 PPR. He is absolutely killing it. I'm going to go on board. He's getting right into Ralph's face. Ralph had nowhere to go. Died almost instantly. Head case soon to follow, probably. And does indeed. Not sure where he gets shot from, but takes out Chonga. Fantasy, all that is left for the ace, I believe. Can't remember if he actually killed Core Ralph or if Ralph just died in his face. And he does get the kill on Fantasy. Is it an ace? No, he must have missed the kill on Core Ralph. That was certainly not the best round if you are Upgrade. And we're going to stay on turns. He is currently on fire, 8-0, 2 away from a rampage. This is the sort of thing, carrying your team in Elim, absolutely huge, but he decides instead that he would rather eat a gigantic combo. Luckily, he has the benefit of playing passive here. His team is up 3-1. Ralph in a dark horse situation and unable to connect with the low health Turns. everyone is one shot if he can just land them, but he can't. He can't swap targets fast enough. And 4-0 already in favor of Pronoun. Upgrade is getting hounded. Fantasy clearly didn't buy enough monitors to give to all of his teammates. And Pronoun clearly has a bunch of 300 plus damage. Fantasy landing a lot of shots, dodging. He's got 3 people on him. This is fantastic play from him. Currently dipping and diving. Ending Turns' killing spree. Getting his team on the board. Fantastic stuff from Fantasy. We're gonna get. We gotta move to some other people. We haven't given Ma a single round yet. We're gonna at least give a couple rounds here and there to other players. Let them show us what they're made of for the entire UT4 stage. And Ma right now looking like she plays with a steering wheel. Slow turning radius. IG player like certified right there. And Upgrade managing to cut the deficit in half. 4-2. They're making a comeback. Riding on board with Fantasy once again. Seeing if he can change the fortunes of his team. 80 health will survive a snipe, and that's incredibly important. Just being able to get out damage. Rocket a little bit off, but very good idea. Could have been an absolute game changer. And if he had hit it, Hydra would definitely be dead right about now. Unable to connect. Come on, man. Turn it off. Headshotting Turns. And now facing down Hydro. Hydro, his longtime duel partner, getting the better of him. This isn't a race, but Hydro sure made Fantasy feel like it was, as he erased him from that round. And Hydro now not as aggressive as I would have expected. Oh, there he is. Come on, shoot your rockets. Trades with Fantasy. Fantasy getting the headshot to finish him off. I mean, that is a worthwhile trade if your name is Ryan Johnson. You are trading your life for the enemy's best while your best is still alive. Always a victory. And now Ralph in the odd man situation, and he is going to be chased down. Turns just shooting a long-range flak. He just doesn't care. He's getting damage out. And they just run at him. They know that it's going to be really hard for him to deal with the headshots. So, actually, we have not given Headcase a single full round yet. He's going to get the go live from the beginning of this round, and he's got to be able to turn it around. He's currently only 1.3 PPR and 600 damage. It's not exactly what you want from your last place salaried player. I mean, you usually hope that they can get at least about 2. Getting sub 2 is very, very... It's not a great performance. Anytime it happens, it's not what you'd expect. And Fantasy getting the better of Hydra this time, but he's 30 HP, getting a kill, getting the snipe, all of those. Always, always important. Never want... I mean, this is just value in the bank. Turns now. The moment I'm about to say that somebody is in an odd man situation to clutch the round, they die. I don't think there's been more than 1 or 2 times where I've been able to swap to a player. Ralph also 1.6. He is not doing well for a map that we think should be good for his team. I mean, I certainly think his team definitely picked it. He's probably played more than enough Elim games on it, and he just gets rocketed down. Hydro jumping at him like a menace to society, and whew, that was a sweet combo out of Changa. Way to go. Way to get your team on the board. I was about to say that was a sweet combo out of Hydro. Probably would have won them the round, but Changa said, no thanks, I'll take the W, and sends his team into a much more manageable deficit, 4-6. Fantasy leading the way for his team, 4.8 PPR. Turns leading the way, 3.8. But the big difference here, 2.9 for Hydra, only 2.3 for Changa. And Ma's not doing too hot either this round. 1.5. Big difference from last map. Ma, second place on her team. One of the highest in the hub. Definitely having a big impact. Fantasy going down. Turns getting the better of him. Ralph, once again, in a 4v1. And he's got people behind him, in front of him, to the side of him. In the floorboards, in the attic. Coming in through his windows. Snatching those people up. Getting fragged. That's a old meme, dating myself heavily there. But, you know, it is what it is. And now we're back regularly scheduled programming. We are on the top salaried players to finish out this match. Turns for PPR, very strong right now. Fantasy's got 4K. We're going to Fantasy. He's buying away the best player in the server right now. 62% LG. He is reaching his final form. And he is unable to land the combo onto Turns, but, you know, it's a matter of time. I think he took camper damage there and then dove right into Turns' waiting arms. Really unfortunate. Now it's 8-4 in favor of Pronoun. If Upgrade is unable to turn it around, this is going to be the match. I mean, we will play a for fun map 3, but it is looking rough for them at the moment. They have a big mountain to climb. Pretty much a must-win round for them. If they don't make it, you know, probably at least 8-6 before dropping to 9, I don't see how you win more than 4 rounds in a row. It's going to be tough. Not saying it isn't doable, but going down 9-5 is going to make this very difficult. And right now, they're in a 4v2. I do not speak any any Spanish, unfortunately, so I have no idea what that means. But Upgrade dropping the round to go 9-4. This is match and map point if you are a fan of Pronoun, and it's going to be difficult. They're in a very big hole. They need to win 6 rounds in a row. This is not going to be smooth sailing for them, that's for sure. It's time to put up the damage numbers if you can. Surprise Fantasy didn't engage there, but he does get the kill and the snipes, landing some damage, trying to help his team. But right now he is in a 3v1. He has to clutch it for his team. He's able to get one, but he goes down. Fairly anticlimactic. 10-4. They lost again. Oh boy. That is quite rough. Not much to say. The bottom half of both teams played quite poorly. The big difference with Fantasy and Turns both putting up 4.1 PPRs. Hydro, 3.2. Ryan Johnson showing us all that Rockstar through the veins is the secret to success. And we should take that all. We should all take that to our graves as Pronoun wins the match. 2 maps 2, 1 to follow. So it could be 3-0, could be 2-1, but we're gonna watch it anyways. But it is over. There's nothing to be won outside of bragging rights, feel good story, and well, if you're Upgrade, potentially you get some better seating when it comes to it. I mean, what is there to say? They got boat raced twice. Turns backing up his smack talk from earlier in the day, saying that Fantasy was no longer going to be in the MVP race. Not sure if that's necessarily true. Fantasy put up a great performance, but you know, it's kind of hard when you don't have a second player that's putting up a comparative performance. Like pretty much everyone, you know, Koralf needs to be where Hydro is, and he just wasn't. Whereas Hydro was, you know, every bit in the action, getting kills, making Fantasy's life miserable. And that was definitely the difference. I mean, the difference map 1 was Ma playing well above the salary level. 2.7 PPR, I think second highest in the entire server. I mean, that's why, you know, they lost so bad map 1, and map 2, Hydra was just clearly the third best player. I am, in fact, 32 years old, and I have but one anus.
Three, two, one.
And we are into map 3 phase, and we're going to just go, we're going to stay on board with Fantasy and Turns probably all round. Those are all map. These two are clearly the best players in this game, and they've been the only really consistent players the entire match so far. Both putting in strong performances round after round, map after map, but really the unsung aspect so far in this matchup has been the secondary players for Pronoun have just been much, much better than the secondary players for Upgrade, and I have, in fact, spec'd B-Banks a little bit. I'll give him a round. I don't think he's gotten a ton of time, but, you know, we can watch the Lag Master, Net Stats, Typer at work. Maybe he'll type after that, but that was very unceremonious. Fantasy very low HP, but his team up in players, but Hydro is absolutely yoked out of his mind. The man, his bloodline is filled with the with Dino Nuggies, and unfortunately unable to feast on the opponent, as he dies fairly unceremoniously. And I mean, Pronoun in the first round deficit they faced all match long. And we can see what Turns has to say about that. Trying to push Chonga is kind of a tough place to fight in. Fighting up that ramp, you can... I feel like it tends to go one of two ways. Either your opponent absolutely bludgeons you, or you bludgeon your opponent. Not really an in-between so far that I've noticed. At least it doesn't feel that way. But Turns currently getting some high ground, getting some good snipes. Spending a lot of time... Fantasy just waiting for him around the corner. Seems like he knew Turns was going to move in that way. But Turns reads back that Fantasy's going to move right to the armor, and gets him down. And we will go back to Fantasy, and I like the map. I think it's a great kind of change of pace. It's not my favorite. I think it's different. It's fun. At least I think it's fun. And yeah, the art style is very rough. There's another version which is blue, but it's got much worse. The sightlines and the features on the map aren't as clean. It's got some issues that this map definitely does. This version does not have. Also, you know, with the green color, shout out for blue bright skins. Just saying. But I think it's fun. But it is. Unless it was forced, I don't think it would get picked. But I do like that if we're gonna force the lower picked maps as tiebreakers, it does add some diversity. I feel like there's maybe been one Entropic picked so far that hasn't been the forced tiebreaker. Just kind of how it is, you know, people are going to always default to the old reliables, especially for their lower salaried players. I actually feel like with the 7 or 8 man teams, the you know, multi-team teams that exist, that actually lended itself to more creative map picks, or more like variance in map picks, because when you had your lineups with, you know, maybe only 1-6 and like 2-1, a 1 and a 2, I think that it allowed people to feel really confident picking different maps. But in here, where you have, you know, basically a 6 and a 7 or so on every team, you want to stick to the maps they're more comfortable on, which is definitely Signify, Sheops, Campgrounds. Now, at this point, I think a lot of people played that plenty. It's definitely, I think, a more stabilized map rotation because of the team makeup in this season of Elim. Remedy's another map I actually like. It grew up. The first time I didn't think I liked it very much. The second time I played it, I liked it a lot more. And I feel like the more I play it, the more I'll like it. It's got a lot of great movement tricks. UT4, you know, tends to sometimes lends itself really well to maps. Pending, for instance, fantastic map in UT4. You know, it's some maps just work. I feel like Entropic's the most likely newer map to get picked, and even then, I don't think it's very gonna be common. Elucidation, I think, is probably the big winner. I feel like a lot of people really like Elucidation, and I feel like it's gonna get played a lot. That's definitely the big ad from this season so far. And actually, I do like the fact that Entropic is kind of the more open edition too. It feels like those two are very much a good, like, matched set. For instance, like Elucidation's much more like close quarters, a lot of like really close angles, small angles, for people not very far away from you. Whereas Entropic, yeah, has a lot of, you know, peak angles and whatnot, but you're shooting across big rooms and distances. So there's less chance that if you miss the shot, whatnot, somebody's like right up in your face immediately. They're kind of like a, you know, a good match set in that regard. Fantasy playing this low ground, it's definitely viable. If you're good at holding down here and you know the angles, you can absolutely punish people for coming down to try and fight you. Yeah, the ramp spawn is kind of bad. I mean, to be fair, you've got... I feel like every map has a spawn that you'd rather not get. Like, Signify, when you get the low spawns on Signify, it always feels like kind of crappy. Low glass on Elucidation, although I feel like players have gotten better at playing around it. I think I think Fant picked Quest because Fant felt like Quest was gonna make turns mad, but he didn't realize that, okay, so you just give Hydro and Banks and Ma, who've all played a ton of UT4 pub matches, a map that they're very comfortable on, and told them to, you know, kind of like, don't... I just don't think it was as big of a wash or as big of an advantage as he thought it was going to be. Yeah, like, I don't think you should ever pick a map that you're... just because your opponent's 1 hates it. Like, you should pick the map that your opponent's 2, 3, and 4 might be worse at. Because at a certain point, good players are good players, like, regardless. Like, your 900 stud is still going to be a 900 stud on most maps. I mean, we're in an 8-3, kind of reverse boat race, but, you know, it's not looking great, although Fantasy just gets right on. Oh, brave boot jump. Fantasy, very good opportunities and very good chances in this. Needs to hit Ma, though. If he had pulled out the flak sooner, or he'd, you know, kept the combo on the first time, might have gotten that. Unfortunately, Fantasy unable to get the Dark Horse and put his team ahead. Now, Turns' team might be able to get back, and if they can make it a 10-6 scoreline, they lost worse, or they lost better than Upgrade's best win. But yeah, I mean, even with potentially why Quest wasn't a great map pick, it still came down to Ralph played at a like 2.2 PPR level, and Hydra played at a 3.2 PPR level, and like Fantasy's team can't really afford for Ralph to have bad games. I just don't think Changa and Headcase are gonna step up enough to cover for a bad game from Ralph. And like 8-5. Turns' team one round away from making this at least at worst a better loss than anything Fantasy's team suffered tonight. But dangerous. Changa. Turns is so good at, one, getting those shock tapes going, and then two, being able to just subtly sidestep those rockets at the end, or the combo coming for him. Very good at just avoiding the trade damage at the end of those. Ralph just unable to connect right now, and B-Banks says, or Hydro is just jumping in people's faces. Now Banks taking down Ralph. That was almost disastrous. Ralph almost just ran around in a circle and avoided everything. But now Pronoun able to take it to 8-6 and secure, you know, definitely. There's that bug again. I feel like there's like a player name somehow, like it's stuck on that lift. You know, it's just like a visual, maybe a spectator bug, but that's definitely what it feels like. But to go back to the Fantasy on Quest point, I mean, even on Structure, which I think was probably a better upgrade pick from Pronoun, because one, it didn't really target Fantasy. Fantasy's perfectly fine on the map, but it targeted Ralph, it targeted Headcase, it targeted Changa, and it really put the onus on, you know, it was going to benefit Pronoun so much more, who's now made it 8-7. They're maybe coming back to even take this and just make it a straight 3-0. And I was assuming they were probably just going to end up losing this long term. But if they win this round, it is anybody's map. But unstructured Ma, 2.7 PPR being, I think, if my memory serves me correct, the second best in the hub. Like, that was a huge difference on structured. I mean, Upgrade can't be, you know, affording to deal with the 4 for Pronoun having the second best performance. Well, third best in the hub. Fantasy definitely outperformed 2.7, but still. And then Turns just surgically taking down Ralph. Quite beautiful gameplay from Ralph there. And we are now in an 8-8. We're getting back into more hard commentary. This is an exciting finish to this match. And Fantasy, and I mean, we've got Fantasy at 3.7 PPR, Turns at 3.5. Ralph, big upgrade from the last couple of maps. 3.1 on this map. Maybe just everybody being equally unknowledgeable has really helped him. And that tends to be the case. Good players are good regardless. And Upgrade trying to make this a 2-1 to their best possible, you know, they're working as hard as they can anyways. I think so far Fader hasn't done well in the interdivisionals. For the most part, and it looks like this might be, we are down to just Hydro, who goes down, and Upgrade able to make it a 2-1. Fantasy 5K, 3.9 PPR performance. Turns 4.7K, 3.5. Just goes to show you that good players are going to be good regardless of what map you put them on. It really doesn't. I don't think map picks are ever going to affect them. And, you know, kind of two really unfortunate map 1 and 2s for Upgrade as Pronoun takes the match and makes it very anticlimactic for map 3. But it is what it is. Once again, thank you all for watching. This has been a production of UT4 Fall Elim League hosted by UTPugs. Please tune in to tomorrow's match for whoever happens to be streaming it. I will be unable to bring it to you, but catch somebody else. Everyone does such a fantastic job. I will see you all next time.